Hey guys, welcome back to my channel The Curious Palate. This is Vidya Shivalingam. This month is so special. We have the Pride Month, Father's Day and my mom's birthday. As a proud bride ally, I wanted to do something from my end to celebrate this month. Today, we're gonna make the most exciting and joyful cake, the rainbow cake. I noticed there aren't many recipes for making a rainbow cake with whipped cream frosting. But I wasn't very surprised because I know the challenges this whipped cream frosting would bring to a tall cake like a rainbow cake. So I decided to make one. My family is not a buttercream cake fan. I will be sharing all the pitfalls, tips and tweaks to make a successful rainbow cake with whipped cream frosting. So make sure to stay till the end. Now since we are making a whipped cream frosting, let us start making the sponge cakes. Never use a buttercream frosting with a sponge cake. Let's jump into the recipe right away. Let's take a look at the ingredients needed for making the sponge cake. To make the vanilla sponge cake, separate the egg whites and yolks of 2 eggs. Take a larger and a clean bowl for the whites as we will be whipping them. To the egg yolks, add vanilla extract. Please make sure to add a very good quality vanilla as this cake contains a lot of egg. You could also use the vanilla bean, grate and add the zest of half a lemon. Make sure not to grate it too deep as the white bits are bitter. Add 3 tablespoons of milk and 1.5 tablespoons of vegetable oil. Whisk to combine these ingredients well. Sift together the all-purpose flour, baking powder and salt. Add them to the egg yolk mixture in batches while mixing in between them. Also, it is very important to avoid over-mixing this batter, especially the batter for a sponge cake, as there is hardly any fat to inhibit the gluten formation. Add small amount of food color to this batter and mix it well. Make sure to add very small amounts of the food color until you reach the desired color. Set this aside and we will start with the meringue. Add a pinch of cream of tartar to the egg whites. Whip this until they start turning white. Cream of tartar helps stabilizing the whipped egg and also helps in maintaining its white color. A good replacement for the cream of tartar is lemon juice. If your recipe calls for 1/8 teaspoon of cream of tartar, use 1/4 teaspoon of lemon juice. At this stage, start adding the castor sugar in batches and whip this up until you get almost a stiff peak. The sugar helps in giving structure to the meringue, and this will be a slightly sweet cake for some, but do not reduce the amount of sugar. Also, I am baking each of the cake layer individually as my oven fits only one 8-inch tin. Feel free to multiply the recipe and bake many layers if your oven can fit in more tins. Take a look at how the egg white mixture has turned glossy. Notice how this is almost in between a stiff peak and a soft peak. Add a small amount of this meringue to the egg yolk mixture and mix it well to lighten the thick batter. Fold in the remaining meringue in batches carefully. Sponge cakes get their structure majorly from the egg whites and not due to any other agent unlike the butter cakes. Use the cut and fold technique to mix the batter. The aim is to not lose the air beaten into the egg whites. Remember to scrape the sides and the bottom of the bowl in order to mix the batter thoroughly. Prep your cake tin by applying butter generously. Line it with parchment paper and apply butter over it again and dust the pan with some flour. Pour the cake batter into the tin and tap the tin twice to release any trapped air bubbles. In a preheated oven at 160 degrees Celsius, bake the cake for 30 to 35 minutes. Make sure not to open the oven door anytime before 25 minutes, else the cake might collapse at the center. Check if it's done by inserting a toothpick, and if it comes out clean, we are good. Else, bake it for another 5 minutes. Allow the cake to cool down in the tin for 10 minutes and you should see it separating from the sides on its own. After 10 minutes, remove the cake from the tin, remove the parchment paper and transfer it to a wire rack for further cooling. Remember, never ever frost a cake when it's hot. Also, notice how the cake layer is completely flat on top. This is due to baking it at lower temperature for longer time. Repeat the steps and make all the other colors of the rainbow cake layers. I have made only 6 layers As this cake is already very tall, another layer would make it too difficult to handle. Frankly, I also got tired baking 6 of them. Let's proceed to make the whipping cream now that all the cake layers are done. Here's a look at the ingredients needed for the whipped cream frosting. The ingredients are also mentioned in the description box below, along with links to a few of them where you could purchase them online. To make the whipped cream frosting, refrigerate the bowl and whisk before we go ahead with the whipping. Add 3 cups of whipping cream to this bowl. I started with 2 and fell short and had to make some more again. Unlike me, please remember to thaw your whipping cream for 24 hours in the refrigerator. I forgot to pull it out of the freezer 24 hours before. Start by whipping the cream at lower speed and gradually increase it as we go on. You can see how it is difficult to whip as the whipping cream was frozen. Let's meanwhile prepare the gelatin. Add half a teaspoon of gelatin and 1 tablespoon of water and allow it to bloom for a few minutes. Then microwave this for a few seconds or on a stove melt this gelatin mixture and allow it to cool down before adding it to the whipped cream. Let's proceed with the whipping cream. Whip it until it becomes thick and then add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract and the icing sugar. If you remember, I told you that the cake is going to be slightly sweet. Let's balance the sugar by mildly sweetening the whipping cream. Continue whipping until the whipping cream is going to reach the soft peak stage. At this stage, add in the melted and cooled gelatin and continue whipping to a stiff peak. For this cake, we need a stable whipped cream. This is the reason the gelatin is added to this whipped cream in order to stabilize it, making it capable to hold the multiple layers weight. Now a super stable whipped cream is done and is ready to go into a piping bag. Just quickly mix this with a spatula just to release any air bubbles that may be trapped. To fill the whipping cream into the piping bag, take the help of either a mug or a glass and place the piping bag in it, and then fill the whipping cream. Let's prep the cake layers for the frosting. The edges of the cake might seem a little dry because of the butter and flour mixture that was applied to the tin. Let's trim the edges off before using it. Slice the cake to the thickness you want with the help of a cake slicer. Take a look at how nice and spongy this cake is. Finally, the most exciting stage. Let's frost the cake now. Place the cake board onto a turntable and apply a small amount of whipped cream to hold our first layer down. On this layer, dab a small amount of sugar syrup in order to prevent the cake from drying, especially if you're planning to store it in the fridge for a couple of days. If you're planning on avoiding the gelatin in the whipped cream, then you can skip this step because the liquid from the whipped cream itself would be seeping into the cake, making it moist, but at the same time leaving a much drier and buttery whipped cream frosting behind. The addition of gelatin avoids this possibility. Apply a good amount of whipping cream on this first layer and then place your second layer on top of it. Apply sugar syrup just like we did in the first layer and then pipe another layer of your whipped cream and spread it with the help of an offset spatula. And repeat the steps for every other layer. Make sure to align each layer with the below one, otherwise the cake has a chance of collapsing. Pipe a good layer of the whipped cream on the sides of the cake and then with the help of a spatula, holding it at an angle, turn the turntable and spread the whipped cream evenly. Apply some more whipped cream to fill up the cavities or any unevenness and then repeat the step again. For finishing touches, add some more whipping cream on the top and finish it off for a clean frosting. This might take a couple of iterations to get the perfect frosting. Another important tip is to clean the spatula every time you take it off the cake. I'm going to go ahead and decorate the cake in a very simple manner as I do not want to take away the attention from the layers inside. The rainbow cake is finally ready. Let me cut a slice of it and show you how it looks on the inside. Look at it. Look at the lovely colors and the even height of both the cake as well as the frosting. Isn't this pure joy? I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Don't wait for anything and just bake one for yourself. This cake is amazingly delicious, moist and soft. If you have any queries, doubts or feedback, please leave them in the comment section below. Share this recipe with your friends and family and spread the joy. And make sure to subscribe so you don't miss another update from me. Bye bye. Happy Pride Month.